Chapter 27. As I slowly entered the room, I knew that tonight he must die. Silently, I crept up behind the chair where he rested innocently, with no idea of the fate that was about to befall him. I raised my weapon and brought it down on the back of his head. A single blow was all it took. I smiled as his lifeless body crumpled to the floor before me. I laughed to myself, pleased that I had finally swatted that pesky fly. And now, on to Creepy Cheapies, where we celebrate the art of monster masks. Tonight's monstrosity is unusual in that, well, I know some people are going to look at it and say, oh, why does he like that? There's nothing special about that. But you gotta take it in context. It's a throwback to the masks of the 80s when masks were more just geared at being fun and outrageous and dramatic on instant impact, and had a very fun, just a slightly different sensibility about them from the masks of today. And this particular monstrosity is kind of a throwback, I think, I assume it's intentional, to the masks made by companies like Topstone and even Be Something Studios back in the day, with a couple of added perks. This good-looking fella, and I know you might be thinking, oh, it's just a skull, but no, hear me out. This is, that's right, Gary. What? Gary, Indiana, Gary, Indiana, Gary, Indiana. No, just Gary. Now, not that great of a name for a rotten skull, I think, but he was named, I've been told, I don't know, but I've been told he was named after a poster artist from the 70s named Gary Pullen, I believe. And it was just, I don't know, I don't get it either. But I'm not pulling your leg, I believe that's where the name came from. Now, as you can see, Gary is pretty much just a skull, but look at the style in which it was designed and molded, and the way the fur piece is on the back. It's just like a mask you would have gotten back when we were still alive. And one of the things I like about it is, and I'm going to take it off the high quality plastic head here and tell you, one of the things I like, it's vinyl. You don't see that many really good vinyl masks these days. It even has that funny smell that vinyl had back when Don Post was making masks out of vinyl. And this really looks like a Don Post mask, doesn't it? And as long as I'm making references and comparisons with other mask companies, there is a clear plastic shell inside. I don't know if you can see that. Well, you could if I took it out. How about if I do that? There's a clear plastic shell inside, just like the folks used to do at César, the much lamented and missed, now defunct French mask company who had all those great masks that smelled like vanilla ice cream. I miss those a lot too, but this has one of those which keeps it from getting crushed during storage and shipping and such. And speaking of clear plastic, I just happen to have this one on a clear plastic head. I love these clear plastic heads. You used to be able to get these on Amazon pretty cheaply, and I bought a bunch of them, and I should have bought 1,000 of them because you can't get them now. But then I noticed the price went up sharply, and I think I bought a few, a small number of them, maybe like 3 or 4, after the price went up. And then, this was years ago, I haven't seen any since like it. But I like these a lot, and I hope the Mannequin Company, who obviously makes store display type things, will introduce these again someday, and everybody can get them for their mask collections. Now, Gary here, as I mentioned, is vinyl, and his fur piece is sewn. There's a little stitch line all the way around the top. And I do have one complaint about this guy, and I might as well mention it because it's kind of an elephant in the room complaint that everyone's going to have. Look how short that fur piece is. All right, that's about a half a fur piece on there when you compare it to the masks of the 70s and 80s by Topstone and places like that. So I gotta warn you, it's very short in the back with the fur, so you're gonna have to wear something with either a hood or a high collar in the back, like a Dracula cape might have. But actually, that's not too bad in this case because he would look great with a hood, wouldn't he? And there are some companies, I think overseas, that produce glow-in-the-dark, low-price glow-in-the-dark costume hands. So you might be able to find some hands to go with him. Now about this whole glow-in-the-dark business, which really adds to that old-style spook show funhouse charm of him, does he really glow in the dark, or are they lying? Let's see. We'll find out if he really glows in the dark right after this brief irritation. And we're back. And as you can see, good old glowing Gary the Grinnin' Grim Ghoulie here has fantastically glowing teeth, and the rest of him glows pretty decently. But how fun is that to have a mask that looks that old school and vintage Halloween and looks like you know, Halloween in America in the 70s and 80s, with the fun mask that you can run around in the dark and spook people at the haunted house or some such. That's ooh, how cool is that, huh? And the great thing is Gary is cheap. Gary's like 20-25 bucks. So you can't complain, you know. 25-30 bucks, I believe, is about all you should have to pay for a fine glowing Gary the Grim Grinnin' Ghoulie right there. Isn't that cool? And if he looks a lot like something you've seen before, he reminds me of an old Don Post mask called DK, except that one was red and had a black hood. I do believe the sculptor, Justin Mabry, who came up with this one, I believe he finished a couple of them a few years ago from the same sculpture, to at least one to look like the DK mask. But the official version that was ultimately released is Gary, the glow-in-the-dark vinyl version. And you know, it's so inexpensive and it's such a fun kind of ghost, I think you can't go wrong. So I think pick up a Gary low-priced, cheap ghoulie. Sometimes the Creepy Cheapies are really cheap, aren't they? Yeah, they're really cheap when they're... Okay, he almost fell off my hand there, but fortunately I was able to take control of the situation and continue to hang on to him. Here's hoping you're able to take control of all your unfortunate situations in the week ahead, and join us again next time for something or other.